Okay, so the next topic is more about data output. Till now, we have seen how to use print function and in which scenarios the print function can be used. Now let's see how many types and how many ways we can modify the output and make it finer when we are printing the results. So new line character at the end of the printed data is something that is already built in. So whenever you have print statement from the previous example, let's say like I am staying in the room, and then next statement is print room. So when you have these two statements, the next statement is automatically printed in the new line, right? But if you don't want that new line character, and if you want the print statement to print beside, like the next argument to be printed beside the same line, you can use the end special argument, which is end is equal to delimiter. We'll see how that works as well. And if you want to remove the spaces between the arguments, then you can also use sep, short for separator, as a special argument. Yeah. Now let's take a look at this. Print 1, print 2, print 3. So originally, when you just have 1 as an argument inside your print function, you will be seeing the output 1, 2, 3 in 3 different lines, correct? Now in this case, as we are using end as a special argument, end is equal to, and there is no a space in between these two quotes here, end is equal to, the output is 1, 2, 3, which is right here. I'm sorry. Next, same thing. If you are removing the spaces between the quotations of the end special argument, then there is no space in between the arguments, but all the arguments are in the same line. Now let's take a look at sep. So in sep as well, you are removing the item spaces. So 1, 2, 3. And you can also insert special characters, like here there is a star or a hashtag. And then you can also use this symbol. If you want to use hashtags, you can always use special characters inserted inside your print statements, and those will be repeated in between your arguments. Okay. So, and then we have \n special character, which is to bring the new line. This is very important when we are working with files, because if we want to add new information into the files, then we must concatenate this \n into our statements when we are writing the data into the file. So when I said concatenate, that is nothing but using the plus operation. Plus operation will bring the two strings together by making two strings to one string. So this is not like addition, but it uses the same plus operator, but this is called as concatenation. And you have to make sure that, when you are concatenating something, it has to be the same data type. Like string with string, you can get string as an output when you are performing concatenation operation. Same thing with lists. You can concatenate a list with another list, but you cannot concatenate a list with an integer or a file with, let's say, string. Okay. So now let's take a look at this example where you have \n, which is new line. We also have \t, which is horizontal tab space. So 1 \n, 2 \n3. This will give you the result in 3 different lines, even if you have one print statement. So when you want to have your arguments printed in different statements, instead of typing in different statements, you can just use \n. This is all about different types of data representations that you can have. So we do have 3 more escape characters. That is single quote. It will be printing just the single quote and not the \, and it will just print the double quote, and this will print 1 \/ character. This last thing, 2 \/ characters, is important when you want to print the path on a computer, a hard drive, or something like that. So let's take a look at this example. The path is C:2 /temp 2 \data. So when this statement is executed, the path is C with 1 \. That is how it is when you are looking at certain directories and certain folders when you are checking for the paths on your computer. Same thing, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday with \t, that will give you tab space, Thursday, Friday, Saturday as well. And when you're trying to just include the quotes, you can include / quote, or you can just directly include quotes as well from the previous slides that we have already gone through. If you are trying to include apostrophe, I am, then you can also include by using \apostrophe. So now when we come to concatenation again, so this is, which is a string, plus one string is also a string. So when you are concatenating two strings, it is considered as one big string. So this is one string is considered as the concatenation of two strings, which are this is and one string. And again, when you want to type sentences in different lines, but when you do not want to use continuation characters, or when you do not want to use brackets or parentheses, you can just also use plus signs. That is basically you are considering this as your first argument using the concatenation symbol, second argument concatenation symbol. So when this statement is executed, the complete data is printed in one single statement. Now, when we are coming to formatting numbers, we can use the inbuilt format function. So this will have two arguments. This function will have two arguments. First argument is a numerical value which has to be formatted, and the second is the format specifier itself. Like if you want to see only 2 decimal values, let's say instead of 5 decimal values, then whatever the value that you want to see, that will be the first argument, comma, 2f, 3f, 4f, that is for floating point. F stands for floating point in that case. So this will return a string containing the formatted number. It usually includes precision and data type as well. So the percentile symbol can be used to format string of format function or format number as percentage. So if you want to something determine as percentage, then you can just use the percentile symbol. So we use D as the type designator, and then that does not provide any precision. We have to manually enter the precisions. Can still use format function to set field width or comma separator. So I will talk about field width within our .py file, which is much more easy to understand. So I'll just give you the example of the first case here. You have print, and inside that print, we are calling the format function. And also, what is the type of notation of this statement call? This is called as a nested function call, right? Because we have first function, second function, and the second function will be executed first, and the output of the second function or whatever is returned from the second function will be passed to the first function. So 12345.6789 is the value, that is the first argument, and then you have 0.2f. So you are only declaring 2 decimal points with this value. So you will see 68. So this is rounded. And then inserting comma separators as well. Like if you want to insert commas, then you can do comma 0.2f. So 12 comma 345, 123 comma 456 comma 789. So, and if you just do not want to reduce the total number of values in the decimal value, but you can just, if you still want to include the comma, you can directly do comma f. When we are looking at the .py file, it gets much more easier to understand. Now let's move on to the next concept, that is magic numbers. So a magic number is something that will appear in your code, but it is not described anywhere. So for example, in this case, amount is equal to balance times 0.069. What is 0.069? That is not defined anywhere. There is no comment, there is nothing. So what are you supposed to understand it as? Is it an interest rate, or is that the leftover amount, or is that something the person owes? We never know. So such type of numbers which appear in the code without any explanation are called as magic numbers. Usually magic numbers are not a good practice, like using this is not a good practice. So let's say in this statement, amount is equal to balance 0.069. There was a mistake. It was supposed to be 0.096, but the user has just entered it as 0.069. And this statement or this number is repeating 25 times in our code. So when we want to change this to 0.096, we'll have to go to each and every location and then manually change it. So that will be the first problem of magic numbers. So instead, if you just declare that to a particular variable and then assign that to that variable, then we can easily change that variable content itself. And as we are going to use the variable name in our program, that will not cause much issue. Okay, yeah. Next concept is named constants. So now when we have looked at 0.069 in the previous example, I did say that we can declare that to a variable. And now if that variable is a fixed amount, that if that variable is something that is not changed for the entire program, then what about just naming it as a named constant? So whenever the programmer, or let's say you are working on a team of 5, and the first 2 are the program team, and second 2 are also working on the same program, but they are just piggybacking on whatever you have written. So when they see this interest rate in all caps, they understand that interest rate is fixed to 0.069 and should not be changed throughout the entire program. So that makes it easier for the programmers to look at and understand the code. And also named constants are self-explanatory, so that means they should not be changed. And if you want to replace the value of 0.069 to something else in the program, you can just change it in one location and then be done with it. You don't have to change at multiple locations. So that is about named constants. So now let's take a look at the data outputs formats.py. So this is normal print function. The output is 1, 2, 3 in this case. Now when you use end special argument, you are removing the new line characters, but you are bringing everything in the same line, but with spaces. Same thing next here, we are not bringing the spaces. So we will be seeing the output 1, 2, 3 all together without any spaces. And then this statement will just print 1, 2, 3 with the sep with no space. It will just print 1, 2, 3 without spaces. And with hashtag, which as a special argument, the output will be 1 star 2 star 3. Same thing with the escape character. When you want to look at the output in 3 different lines, 1, 2, 3 will be in 3 different lines. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be at 3 different tab spaces. Next, if you want to use a single quote or double quotes inside your print statements, you can always use backslash, or you can just directly use the quotes from the previous slides. Same thing with the apostrophe here. And for the path, if you are using 2 backslashes, only 1 backslash is displayed as your output. This is the concatenation operation. So after this statement is executed, you will see the output. This is 1 string. And even after the execution of this statement, you will see the output. Enter the amount of sales for each day and press enter in 1 line. Now let's come to the formatting numbers. So you are formatting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.6789 with 0.2f. So you will be seeing the output as 68 with 1f, that will be 6. Print number. So you can also call the format function inside the print statement like this, but you are also including another argument. So the argument, comma, and then you are calling the format function. So inserting comma separators, if you want to insert some commas in your data, then you can always include that by using comma dot 2f or comma dot 3f dot 4f. It's up to you. Same thing, you can call the same function inside the print statement and have an argument before that. So if you want to format a number with respect to, by using the percentile, then it is 0.5 comma percentile, or 0.5 comma 0.0 percentile. So let's see what happens when we execute this file. This is 0.5 percentile, and this is 0.5 dot 0 percentile, which is 50%. Okay. And yeah, okay. So that is it with formatting data types as well. Next topic will be turtle graphics, and that will be in your next video.